question is, how do customers find you online? Hmm? Search engines, social media platforms, directories, online ads, referrals, just to name a few. A lot of attention is given to social media, but on this episode of Make It Click, we're talking about SEO, search engine optimization. What is it? Do you need it? And how do you get started? And I'm happy to have with me as my guest today, Jodie Mitchell. Jodie's been in the SEO world for, more than 6 years now. And Jodie, I'm so happy to have you as my guest today on Make It Click.
Thank you for having me.
So let's get right into this search engine optimization. So this is dealing with when people are Googling or whatever browser they're using. This is where this comes in. So why 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 is the SEO such an important marketing channel, which it is? And like I say, but most people are just thinking about the social media and whatnot.
Yeah, it is so important, and it is often overlooked in favor of things like social media and stuff because it's such a long-term thing. With social media, you get that more instant gratification, instantly validated with likes, comments, all of that sort of thing. But SEO is definitely like a longer-term strategy, and I think that's where people are sort of like, oh, maybe it's not quite as important. But if you leverage it well, especially using SEO and social media together all in one big strategy, it will really work for you.
Well, can you give us just a basic definition of search engine optimization? What is it that we're really talking about there?
So, SEO, search engine optimization, is basically a set of guidelines and rules essentially to appease an algorithm. It's sort of like Instagram in a way, where it's just an algorithm that works away in the background. So all it is following a set of rules and guidelines that will optimize your web page for search engines.
Hmm. And I'm thinking that, well, I know when I'm looking for an answer to a problem, I don't go to social media to search. Although some people do, they'll put a question out there. It's like, and yeah, that one really bothers me. But I will go to Google and search for it, and that's what a lot of people will do. And if we're not showing up as the answer to that, I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot, um, because, like I say, people aren't really looking for social answers on social media. Um, how do we even, like this thing with keywords, where do we even begin? If we wanted to put more time into SEO, where do we begin?
So, keyword research and the whole like keyword strategy thing is one of the questions I get asked the most, because I think it does, people find it a bit daunting. They don't know what they need to be looking for, what they should be writing about. A really simple way of looking at it is create the content that answers the questions that you get asked the most, because that's what people will be searching. And for bigger things, like for me, it would be wedding photography, as that's what I am primarily. There are tools out there that you can use that will tell you all the different keywords that people are using and how many searches they get a month and all of that. And you can start creating pages around those keywords.
Okay, and I've looked at a few of those things now, but what are we looking for when when it's giving us these, even the long tail keywords? Are we looking for those keywords that get a ton of searches, the ones that are highest, or somewhere in the middle? What are we looking for there?
So my recommendation usually, as I tend to work with small businesses, is if you are a small business with your main target keyword for a page, try to aim at a maximum of 10,000 searches a month. Otherwise, you are going to start finding it a lot harder to rank for, where you've got these big corporation businesses already dominating the search results. And honestly, like, these are keywords that we're just not going to be able to compare with, because they have thousands of pounds or dollars to be throwing at it. So I would say, when you're looking at your keywords, pick one main target keyword per page, and then I'd say about 10,000 searches a month is your top bracket. What you can also do is pick other, like, secondary keywords, let's say, as like smaller topics within the content that you're writing about. So for me, again, wedding photography, there would be different bits about like wedding ceremonies, confetti photos, covering all those little bits within, because they're going to be more granular and more niche, long tail keywords. There's going to be less searches for them, but that also means less competition. And when there's less competition, you've got a much bigger chance of ranking for them. You know, the way I like to think of it is it gets the ball rolling. Once you start ranking for those smaller, easier keywords, the ball starts rolling and you gain momentum. And that's when you'll start ranking. You'll find it easier to rank for those bigger keywords.
Now, did you say like wedding photography and confetti?
Yeah, so there's a big thing in the wedding industry. I get asked a lot, how do we get the best confetti photos at our wedding? So I get asked that a lot. So I created a blog post around that, listing all the different tips that I've got out of my experience for all the different ways to get the best photos of your confetti moment at your wedding. Okay. So use your expertise to create that content that people ask you. And when they search on Google, you'll be there showing off all of your knowledge, all of your expertise.
Now, what if okay, so you mentioned about starting with like, what are the questions you're asked the most? What if somebody's fairly new in business? Is there some place that they can, like kind of do some research on what those things might be? I mean, there's, when people are starting out, there's so many pieces that we have, we as business owners, haven't been in years, we've got lots of data to look back on. But when you're first starting out, how do you, where do you go?
So another reason Google's really good, you can do your own research on this sort of thing. So have a look at, there's on Google, sometimes when you type in a keyword and search, there'll be a people also ask section. And this is a brilliant place to get inspiration, because those are frequently basically Google's FAQs for your topic. So really good place to get inspiration. And there is also a tool that I absolutely love called Answer the Public. And this tool, you plug in a keyword and it will come up with all the different questions that people ask around your keyword, sorted into how, what, why, when. So you can just pick different keywords out of that, different questions, different topics, and you'll have a trove of different topics and ideas that you can write about.
Yes, I've known about Answer the Public for several years now. It is a very interesting tool.
Yeah,
although they've changed just how many searches you can do for free.
Yes,
like with everything. But
all the good things never stay free.
Right. Well, now let's talk about the optimizing of your content. Now, you had mentioned, I think, about using a keyword per page, or even a long tail. Well, first of all, let's step back. I said long tail keyword. Do you want to tell our audience what I'm referring to as far as a long, and the different, people think keywords, oh, it's a word, but then we have long tail keywords.
Yeah, so when we say keywords, it is a phrase. It's not necessarily just one word. There are short head, which is a horrible term, and long tail keywords. The more words you have in your keyword or key phrase, the longer tail it is. And the more words in it, the less people are searching, it's less common, and that's where your opportunity is, basically.
Right. So then coming back to our websites, when we're looking at the content that we have on it, what do we need to be doing to really optimize that content?
So for each page, I have like a little mental checklist, essentially, that has been drilled into my head after all these years. So for every single page, you want to make sure that you have a page title and a meta description, custom written. Don't just use whatever auto-generated one they give you, because it's never as good, never as sexy. And make sure you are getting your target keywords in there, so Google knows what your page is about, so users, searchers know what your page is about. And also make sure that they are unique to the page. Don't just copy and paste the same one across your whole website. Google will not like that. So page title and meta descriptions are the ones that you see on the Google search results. So there's the short blue sentence and then the longer grey sentence underneath. Top one is your page title. Lower one is your meta description. So that is the first impression people are going to get before they've even clicked onto your website. So make it count. First impressions count. Then as they click onto the page, there are a few more things that you're going to want to have done. First of all is your H1, which is your header tag. This is usually the title of your page, but H1 basically tells Google what your page is about. So it should be does what it says on the tin. Get your keyword in there again, really important for this one. And then write your content. Always make sure that it's over 300 words, otherwise it will get flagged as thin content, because Google loves in-depth, informative, really educational content. So don't just chuck a few words on the page, make sure it's really informative. Next up, you want to make sure that you are internally linking. So for a page to be ranked on Google in the first place, it needs to have at least one internal link pointing to it. So an internal link is a link from another page on your website, so linking from within your site. External links are also really good, but I would make sure that they are relevant, because you kind of don't want to just be sending people off of your website for no reason if you don't have to. And then lastly on my little checklist is image optimization. So there are two factors to this. One is alt text. Alternative text is what displayed for people who use screen readers, so people with visual impairments. Google also uses it to give it a little bit more context to what the image is of, because as it's a machine, it can't actually see the image. And also if for whatever reason your image breaks, that will display in its place. So it needs to be a really literal description of what the image is of. So imagine like if you have your eyes shut and someone read this out to you, would you be able to have a guess at what the image is of? That's how literal it needs to be. If you can naturally and easily get your keyword in, go for it, but don't crowbar it in, because it's about accessibility at the core of it. So it's not really about you. And then also with images, make sure they are sized properly, so it's not a huge file size, because that will really slow down your page, and that is also a huge thing when it comes to SEO.
Now I'm wondering, so we're setting up our website, we're making sure we checked all the boxes of what you just spoke about, and then all too often many people don't go back to their website. They say, well, I built it. It's there. It's like I did everything the right way, but they're not putting new content on. And I'm thinking that the new content is very important also.
Yeah, Google loves fresh and new content. It wants you to keep updating your website, because it basically wants new things to show people. So that's why things like blogging is so good for your website, because chances are you're not going to want to change your homepage every month, your main like product page, category page. It's just not really, you can't just keep changing that because there's not really anything to keep changing it to. That's where blogging is so good, because there are so many different things that you can tell people about. So yeah, if you can, I would say a new blog post every 2 months, every quarter, if it's not that manageable. But in a dream world, I'd say once a month. But as someone whose work gets really busy in the summer, I know that that's really not always an option. But whatever's, I wouldn't say there's like a perfect amount, but whatever is consistent for you.
Mhm. Well, that's good to hear that even once every 2 months, 'cause I think a lot of us are thinking, "Oh my goodness, I have to put something new out every week, or every other week," but that is I hope our listeners caught that. You only have to be putting something up at, every other month, to put new content up there. Oh, this has been wonderful, Jodie. I have learned so much myself. I thought I knew about SEO and the content, everything, but this has been wonderful. Is there something that you would like to give to our audience?
Yes, I have a free guide all about something I haven't actually touched on today, which is all about local SEO. So if you want to learn a little bit more about local and Google My Business, I have a free guide for you that will give you just a little bit of an overview. So yeah, that is, and there it is. It is at jodiedcmitchell.co.uk/free-SEO tools-guide.
That is a valuable guide. Every listener should be going there to get that guide, because this is so important to really build that visibility online and be found. This has been wonderful, Jodie. I do have one final question for you, Jodie, and this is more about you and your business. And as you look back over the years, is there something that you learned, maybe a tool that you are now using that you look back and you say, "Wow, when I learned this, when I started using this tool," whatever it is there something that made it click in your business?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So for me, there's loads, but my ultimate favorite tool of all time that I've been using for years is Google Keyword Planner. And it's where I start with every page that I make. It is where I return to every single time.
Google Keyword Planner. All right. Well, we all need to be checking that one out. Thank you so much, Jodie, for being my guest today on Make a Click. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure.